Hi, welcome or welcome back to Books and Bocadillos. My name is Maria Andrea, and thank you for coming back to another week in review video. This week in review video is going to be a little bit different in terms of the layout, because I haven't read very much this week and haven't made great progress on any of my current reads. I haven't finished any books, so I'm really not going to be telling you anything new in terms of my reading. Um, so I'm going to skip all of that, and this is going to be more like an update on my personal curriculum. So I'll lay it all out. I do want to start out with just a quick chat about highs and lows, like I usually do. So a couple of highs. Um, so I went to the beach, and that's always really fun, just to have a beach day. Um, So that was really nice. I went to the beach on Monday. It was a holiday, and it was my first time actually having a President's Day holiday. Um, it's been more than a decade since the last time I was in a job that observed um, President's Day. I've worked in the medical field for so long that I've always ended up working all of these federal holidays. So I was really excited to have a government holiday off um, this this week. So it was a short week, and I've also been doing a lot of cooking. I have um, time now to do more cooking, and also just trying to decrease my spending. And one of the easiest ways to decrease spending is to eat out less and cook more. So I've been doing a lot of meal prep and cooking and packing a lunch and packing breakfast and having dinner, having a home cooked meal at home. So my spouse is very happy, but it's just a lot of fun to just get back to cooking. Hopefully, as I'm getting back into a cooking routine, I can bring back Cookbook Corner. That's a hope and a goal. So those are a couple of highs. I'm also doing a lunch club at work with my coworkers, and I'm really, really excited. We had our first Lent lunch club um, lunch share on Friday, and it was great. It was great feedback. Everybody really enjoyed the food that I took to share, and this week should be really delicious. I'm making vegan crab cakes, and those are a favorite here at home. Both my spouse and my mom really want me to make these, and I'm going to make them also to share with my coworkers. So that should be really good. I should have more to tell you about my vegan crab cakes next week. The recipe that I will be sharing in this video is ceviche, vegan ceviche. I made vegan ceviche. I made two different ones. I'm going to share one, the one that people liked the most. I think that they were both good and people liked both of them, but the favorite, the crowd pleaser, is the one that I'm going to share with you. It's cauliflower ceviche. It's really good. It's vegan, it's gluten-free, it's made with cauliflower. I adapted it a bit. I made some changes to it. So I will include my updates to the recipe in the description box. And community post. I just posted a really cool video. I shared Sara from the channel Lida Ekfrastica. She put out a video about her Notion digital library, and it was so cool. I am Notion obsessed, and I always enjoy her content. She records really cozy videos, and I thought I'd share because if you're curious about Notion, would be interested in looking at the possibilities. My notion is very minimalist, so I feel like it's quite boring. I don't have, it's not very aesthetically pleasing. It's just kind of bare bones. But when I saw Sara's notion, and the way she's created a digital library within the Notion app, I think it's fantastic. And so I just shared her video maybe an hour ago. And so check it out. In terms of tags and community engagement, I did a tag, the 20 questions tag. If you watched it and you want to do it, you want to do the tag, and I didn't tag you, by all means. I'm just always late to doing tags, so it's hard for me to figure out who has and hasn't done this, and because I'm always late, I just avoid tagging too many people. But there was a fun one, and the back and forth, bantering and just engagement is really fun. So I really appreciated that Suey's still willing to be my friend, even though I dog ear my books and my magazines and my cookbooks, but I'm grateful that we're still friends. And now on to, speaking of Suey, now on to giving you an update. So Suey and I have a personal curriculum thing we're doing here on BookTube with our community, and she's hosting the personal curriculum communication and engagement on Storygraph, and I have a thread on Discord. There's another word for it. Not a channel. Is it a channel? I'm still kind of learning my way with Discord, but I have a group that is into personal curriculum, and we from time to time chime in. I had committed to posting a video, and so this is my monthly update on my personal curriculum. So for my personal curriculum for spring semester 2026 is I am doing a yoga practice. I'm getting back into my own yoga practice and figuring out what adaptations or what I need to do to adapt to yoga, as I'm having issues with my wrists and I'm having carpal tunnel, and sometimes when you're having limitations, physical limitations, very intimidating to go into a yoga studio or a yoga class online. And when you're doing it online and you're alone in your home trying to follow a person on the television screen or on the iPad, you don't know if you're doing it right. And then when you're in the studio and you see that, you start comparing yourself, and that also can feel very, very intimidating and discouraging. So I've been doing a little bit of both. Mostly I've been going to the studio. So I really wanted, at least initially, to try to get back into a yoga studio to practice ceasing judgment, right? To practice a non-judgmental approach, because it's really easy to go into a studio and start comparing yourself to others and start getting down on yourself because you can't do those inversions. You can't do that headstand. You can't do a crow pose because maybe your wrists are too weak and you can't hold yourself up like that. Whereas maybe when you were younger and you didn't have carpal tunnel, you could. That's been my case. So I am going back to yoga studio, one, for the discipline of showing up, two, for the instructor to correct me if I'm doing something wrong or if I'm in a pose that is complicated that I maybe need to learn how to navigate the pose in a way that doesn't hurt my body. So I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to understand my body, understand how to flow, how to move through it, and how to resist, right? How to strengthen, how to be strong when it's hard. Because as I've heard from yoga instructors that I've been doing yoga with these last several weeks since we started the personal curriculum project, think one of them said being able to do hard things on the mat, like think about how you're responding to something difficult that comes up in the mat, because it's going to help you off the mat. So pushing through, to developing strength, to resisting, um, finding ways to adapt, to be resilient, to press on, to not give up, to be strong, and be brave, and to believe in yourself, and to not put yourself down, and have that non-judgmental approach when days are hard and you need a child's pose and you can't keep up, and you know it's reminding yourself that it's all about how we react to difficult things. So that's been really good, to just be in a community with other people and have that non-judgmental practice, and have people that are helping you see your limitations, and um, develop coping mechanisms and coping strategies for those limitations. I I've been going to the yoga class in the studio once a week, um, at least once a week. A few weeks I've gone more often, maybe 2 to 3 times a week, but some weeks, like last week, I just went once a week. I think the last 2 weeks I've only done once a week. The previous 2 weeks prior, I think I went like 2 or 3 times a week. Um, I I do want to go back to like a 2 to 3 time a week frequency the last couple of weeks, because I've been in a new job and I've been kind of getting used to figuring out like when like work schedule and getting out of work and getting to work and things like that. I'm kind of it's been a bit of a slower like getting back to a more frequent yoga practice, but I'm hoping that this week will be better in terms of frequency of the yoga practice. I went to yoga this weekend. My friend and I did yoga together, and it was really nice to have a friend. So she and I have done about 3 classes together at the studio. 2 of those classes we planned. One class, it just so happened we both showed up and we didn't know the other was going to be there. One thing that I really liked about planning to go to this class with my friend this weekend was that it was a hard class, and we were both struggling in different ways with different aspects of the flows. And at the end of the class, we were like winding down the flow. We were kind of getting ready to get into Shavasana. And it was like right before the wind down part of it, we were getting closer to the end. We were on the ground, and I could tell that she was struggling. And I reached out my hand, and then she reached out and held it, and we just held hands um, while we were on the floor, just to like encourage each other as we were taking some deep breaths and getting through it. And it was just really nice to be able to say like, hey, I got you, I'm here for you. And having her reach out, and that was, for me, that was really meaningful. That you know Sometimes when we see each other and we're like off the mat, sometimes you see somebody and they're struggling, and we all have something that we're struggling with, and to just reach your hand out and say, I got you, and to have them reach back and say thank you, and feel seen, and also like hold you as well. I think that's really meaningful. So that was my favorite part about the yoga practice from the weekend. Another thing that was really good about my yoga experience this weekend was that I found a flow that I want to adapt. So all in all, I'm learning all these things. I'm learning how to adapt with my wrists, carpal tunnel, and I'm learning to be non-judgmental, and I'm learning ways to resist, and I'm learning about resilience, and I'm taking these things from the mat and applying them to the difficult times of life now. and how I respond to difficult things, how I talk and breathe through difficult moments in life. And I'm taking flows that I feel like are empowering or inspiring to me in a way of like resistance and resilience. And my capstone or my end project is going to be to develop a flow that I'm going to um, like coordinate along with poetry. So I'm collecting poems that I'm going to read aloud, record, that then I will have a flow to match the poems, like the words. So instead of having songs and music, I'm gonna have spoken word um, as like the background to the flow. And so that's what I'm working on. That's my project. And I found a flow that was really cool this weekend. And as I was doing it, I was like, this is hard, but this is also really empowering. And it has to do with like the warrior poses. I found them really, really like empowering, and they I really felt something when I was in these warrior poses this weekend. So I have some ideas, and I've been collecting poems. I'm still trying to figure it out. But I think for at least for this first half of the project, I'm more focused on the yoga. I'm more focused on getting my body back into a practice of regular yoga and finding what works physically and mentally, like how to press on when things are difficult, right? And not just quit and say, this is too hard, or I'm too old, or my body just isn't what it used to be, and that's a bad thing, and maybe have some shame around my limitations. So I'm determined to press forward, and I'm determined to give myself grace and give my body grace as it ages, as it changes, as it is no longer as flexible or as resilient as it once was. But it might, I can still practice resilience, and I can still have some resistance and some strength building, even though I'm not as flexible or as strong maybe as I once was. But that's an area of growth that I'm still working on. Leave me any questions that you have about personal curriculum in the comments. Follow my Discord. Check in. Let me know if you have any questions, or if there are enough questions that I need to do a Q&A, I'm happy to. But I'll be providing monthly updates, and maybe between now and like next month, if there are questions that I need to answer, I might be a good thing to do a Q&A. But let me know. Interact with me. We'll continue to share the journey. Now I want to go into a book haul. So, I know I wanted to do the Read What You Own challenge, and I'm still doing the Read What You Own challenge, but I'm really not keeping myself from buying books. I am practicing self-control for the most part. Like I am, but I just happened to discover a new indie bookstore in my community, and they had a soft opening, and I really wanted to support them because they are fantastic. So this weekend on Saturday after yoga, I went to, which by the way, I'm super sore, like my shoulders, my back. So anyway, after yoga, before all this soreness creeped in, um, my spouse and I went to a new bookstore in town, and it's the cutest little bookstore. It's so like whimsical in the best way. It feels like like a fairy tale world. They have the most beautiful shelves of books. Um, they have all things bookish, like a bunch of merch, from stickers to enamel pins to buttons to bookmarks, t-shirts and caps and tote bags and all the stuff, slippers, like socks, all the cozy little things that book lovers love. They have a cafe, so they have a full like coffee bar with some like pastries and cafe style foods. They have a flower shop inside the bookstore that is the cutest. It's like a flower shop in a fairy tale like world. Um, and the florist is just so sweet. She looks like a fairy. She's just like so like uh just everything about like it's a family business. Everything was just so beautiful. And she has like they have succulents, they have floral arrangements, and then they also have fresh flowers that they can make bouquets on demand. And it was so cool. I was standing behind this young guy, and he was like, "Surprise me! I want a bouquet for whomever he was gonna get a bouquet for." And she's like, "Okay, come back in 10 minutes, and we'll have it done." And she was arranging a bouquet for him. And then I bought myself a little succulent for my new office, and I was just admiring all the beautiful flowers, the arrangements that were already made and ready to go if somebody just wanted to pick up a ready-made arrangement. It was so cool. And then in the back, they had like tables and just a lot of like seating options, really fun seating options, a really cool space. Um, it seemed like a great hangout. They had board games, so a lot of like the teens were pulling out board games and just having like fun playing with their friends, and it's a really great hangout place. It's a really beautiful like place for a friend date or a romantic date. It was a really, really cool new discovery. So of course I wanted to support them because they're in my hometown, they're in my like, town where I live, and they are new, and it was their soft launch, and just really wanted to support them. So I did splurge with them. So on Friday, I went to my local indie. They had had a book club meeting on Thursday, and I did not read the book, so I didn't go to the book club. But I went over because the bookseller is my friend, and she has so there's a Swedish word. It's I think if I'm saying it correctly, I think it's fika. Um, and so she has this thing that's she calls Fika Fridays, and basically a time for people to just come and have coffee and very really cozy chat. So she like makes the ambiance in the bookstore very warm and cozy. Um, and they brew coffee, and they bring out like actual like porcelain mugs, and it's like a tea time, like but very like cozy and warm and friendly tea time. And then people bring pastries and like food, like kind of like to have like tapas. And um for me, and I think in our culture, kind of like you would think of a merienda, um but it's the is it I think it's Swedish or Norwegian practice. And I went to that. They have it every Friday, and I don't usually make it a habit, but I had some time on Friday, and so I stopped by. And of course, I was in kind of like a very chillaxed mood. They we were just sitting around and having conversations about life and everything. those of us that were there. It was just really friendly and fun and nice, and my eyes kept going from shelf to shelf, and I kept finding titles that stuck out. And she runs mostly like used books. She does have a small selection of new books. So I found some titles that I was really curious and interested to read, and so I did make some purchases at this mostly used bookstore. I think most of the books I got are used. But I'll show you the books. So for Fika Friday at my friend's bookstore, these are the used books that I found. This one is so cool. The Complete I Hate to Cook book, over 440 world famous good humored recipes by Peg Bracken. The artwork is just beautiful. It's like this vintage hardcover, and it has all these recipes. Now, these are not it's not a vegan cookbook, but I thought there were some that I could veganize. And one of the people that were there, I think we were just, by the end of it, we were all friends. Some of us were acquaintances. We'd seen each other in passing at the bookstore, but after sitting around and having coffee and just talking about everything, we're all friends. And so one of our friends there, I was saying like, oh, I got this book and I'm really excited that I found it, and there's some recipes in here I want to veganize. And she was like, you should just rewrite the cookbook and veganize the cookbook. And I don't know how that process goes, but I definitely am interested in going through this book and trying out the recipes and trying to veganize them. I love vintage cookbooks, and sometimes these like recipes that are in here are hard to find but really cool that I could veganize. And the random page that I opened to has a recipe for zucchini boats, which I think I could definitely veganize and make gluten-free. And then there's one here that for green pancakes. Have you ever had green pancakes? I think it's French because it says pronounced fritate, and I'm not good with my pronunciation. But it's basically raw zucchini, flour, baking powder, eggs, but I could probably use something else instead of eggs to bind. Salt and pepper, thyme, and butter, which I could use vegan butter. So it sounds like zucchini fritters, or like zucchini pancakes, zucchini. I've made like, I love potato ones, like the potato pancakes, the ones that have like the shredded potatoes. I used to eat those a lot when I was a kid. My mom would always make them because they were my favorite thing. I love potatoes, anything potatoes. But this zucchini one sounds really cool. So there's like a lot of really cool recipes that I would like to try, and I would be interested to veganize. A little bit about this book. It says here, 25 years and 3 million copies ago, the I Hate to Cook book first came to the rescue of those who find the kitchen a snare and a confusion and a pain in the neck. The reluctant cooks of the world responded with hearty cheers and appetites and a plea for more. So Peg Bracken whipped up 2 more books filled with recipes spiced with humor and topped with practical advice. Then came a new generation with the same old kitchen complaints, so Peg took her 3 books, boiled them down, and voila, the complete I Hate to Cook book. So this is like the complete edition. Now let's hear it for Peg Bracken in the altogether 443 of those easy, fast, good tasting I Hate to Cook recipes, virtually 3 books in one. Or to put it another way, we finally got the best of Peg Bracken, the best tasting, and the funniest. And here it is in one big book. Hurry, curry, stay abed, stew, soul survivor, and hundreds more, plus the easiest, best desserts this side of Kahlua over ice cream, and they're all here in one delectable, not to mention hilarious volume, ready to put more life in your lifestyle and more laughs in your homework, and good, easy food on the table. If you want to laugh while you cook, cook while you laugh, and make the whole miserable business of cooking slightly less so, while serving forth some eminently edible dishes, this book is for you. P.S. This book is also for those who like to cook, regardless of what Peg Bracken says. Peg Bracken, the time this was published, lives and writes in Hawaii, which she considers a perfect place for the reluctant cook. Those nutritious little papayas and bananas are all over the place and are so the beautiful free-falling coconuts. And so are the beautiful free-falling coconuts, which don't call for cooking either. When was this published? Originally published in 1960, but this copy was published in 1986. So I'm really excited for this new cookbook to add to my collection. Okay. And then I have this one, Número Cero, Umberto Eco. This is a mystery thriller. The LA Times blurbed it one of the most influential thinkers of our time, and the New York Times blurbed it as once the reader gets on the Eco carousel, it's hard to get off. Umberto Eco is the author of numerous essay collections and 5 novels, including Foucault's Pendulum and The Prague Cemetery. He received Italy's highest literary award, the Premio Strega, was named a Chevalier de la Légion d'Honneur by the French government, and is an honorary member of the American Academy of Arts and Letters. He lives in Milan. He's the author of the best-selling The Name of the Rose. I'm not going to read this because it's mystery and I'm always really leery about the summaries for mystery books. I don't really want to read, but it's a mystery thriller. This is a library copy. So Mystery March is coming up, and so I thought maybe this would be a contender for that. I really do like to read mysteries around the world, and I think I saw Marilyn Maya Mendoza's recent video that said that the theme of it all is mysteries around the world. So this is Italian. So I could definitely enjoy an Italian mystery thriller. Sounds like fun. And then I found this Telex from Cuba, a novel by Rachel Kushner. What might you want to hear about? So Rachel Kushner, I've never read anything by Rachel Kushner, but she's been on my radar as an author. It says Rachel Kushner's mother grew up in Oriente Province, Cuba, in the American enclave where Telex from Cuba takes place. Kushner was an editor at Grand Street and Bomb, and Nuck, who edits literary and art journals Soft Targets, a frequent contributor to Art Forum. She has a BA from the University of California at Berkeley and an MFA from Columbia. She lives in LA with her husband and son. So this is set in Cuba. I also don't want to read too much, but just a little bit. It says Rachel Kushner has written an astonishingly wise, ambitious, and riveting novel set in the American community in Cuba during the years leading up to Castro's revolution. A place that was a paradise for a time and for a few. The first novel to tell the story of the Americans who were driven out in 1958. This is a masterful debut. So I'm always interested in a debut novel. This is set in Cuba from the American perspective, and I am curious to see. I like books set in Cuba, and I hope that this has a strong sense of place. I actually bought it because I was really hoping that it would transport me to Cuba, because I am interested, and I really feel I've been listening to a lot of the news, and I really feel for the Cubans, and I would like to spend some time just thinking about Cuba. And this is an author that I really want to read. Crystal at FiberRC talked about this author recently, and we were talking in the comments about where to start. I think it's Nnedi Okorafor, and this is a kata which Ursula K. Le Guin blurbed it as there's more vivid imagination in the page of Nnedi Okorafor's work than in whole volumes of ordinary fantasy epics. This book has been on my radar, and I've been wanting to know, like, where do I start with Nnedi Okorafor? I didn't have any of their books, and Crystal was talking about Nnedi Okorafor, and I was telling her that I was wanting to know where to start, and then I found this book, and I thought maybe this is where I start. This says, Sunny lives in Nigeria, but she was born in New York City. She looks West African, but she's an albino. She's a terrific athlete, but she's so sensitive to the sun that she can't play soccer during the day. She doesn't seem to fit in anywhere. Then she learns why. I'm going to stop there. Ursula K. Le Guin is a fan of Nnedi Okorafor, and I think that is enough for me to be curious. This is a YA novel. A little bit about Nnedi Okorafor. She was born in the United States to two Nigerian Igbo parents. She writes for readers of all ages. Her first book for adults, Who Fears Death, received the World's Fantasy Award for Best Novel and was a Nebula Award finalist. Her work for younger readers includes the novels Zara the Windseeker, winner of the 2008 Wool Soyinka Prize for Literature, finalist of the Parallax and Kindred Awards. The Shadow Speaker, a book sense pick, winner of the Parallax Award, finalist for the NAACP Image Award and Essence Magazine Literary Award and the Golden Duck Award, and a James Tiptree Jr. Honor Book. Nnedi Okorafor is a professor of creative writing at Chicago State University and lives in Illinois. So I am really down to start with this one. And then this one, In America, a novel by Susan Sontag, Picador Press. Susan Sontag is the author of 3 other novels, The Benefactor Death Kit and The Volcano Lover. She also wrote I, Etc., a collection of stories, several plays, and 8 works of nonfiction, among them on photography and illness as a metaphor, and AIDS and its metaphor. She died in New York City in 2004. I think I've read short fiction by Susan Sontag, but I've never read this one, although it's been on my radar too. It's also been on my TBR. So when I saw it, I thought maybe this is a good one to have on hand. And my favorite blurb, I'm a blurb reader, my favorite blurb is by Michael Silverblatt. I love Michael Silverblatt. I love his podcast, Bookworm. And he blurbed it as enough incident psychology, local color, and fascinating detail to stock a flotilla of popular novels and a couple of ragtimes and a brace of theatrical memoirs. I just can't wait. And then a local artist, she makes watercolor art, and so she made this watercolor of birds, and I thought of you because I was talking recently in a video about birds in South Texas and birding in South Texas. And when I saw this, I thought about how I'd been talking to my friends here on BookTube about birding. And so when I saw this, I was like, yeah, this is what an electric, like what you see down the street, like as you're driving, you just see the electric wiring posts and just birds. And at certain times of day, mostly like as the sun is setting, the line will be like covered in birds like all like stuck together, like so many birds. And so, but this is typical. It just reminds me of home. So I got this bookmark. I'll just put it here. And so those were the books that I got at my friend's bookstore. And then at the new bookstore in town, I got these books. Mary Poppins. I love this. I love Mary Poppins. I'm getting ready for middle grade March, so I thought this is going to be fun to have as an option for middle grade March. I don't need to tell you what Mary Poppins is, but I love the artwork in this edition. It's just so beautiful and whimsical. I'm super excited to have this added to my collection. Okay. And then a children's book. I collect children's books. I don't have children, but I like having books to read to my nephews when they come visit. And this is going to be a new one to try with one of my nephews. A is for B, an alphabet book in translation. So I love languages. I am a linguist at heart. I love translation, reading books in translation. I love learning languages. So this is a really cool thing about this one. So A is for B. And look at the. So the inside flap says, what letter does the word B start with? If you said B, you're right in English. But in many languages, it actually starts with A. B is anu in Igbo, amu in Ojibwe, abella in Portuguese, and art in Turkish, and abeja in Spanish. Come and explore the gorgeous variations in the ways we talk about familiar things unified and illuminated through Ellen Heck's eye-catching graphic sketchboard, details, and hidden letter forms. So like the artwork is so gorgeous. And this is published by Levine Garrido Press. So it's we speak to each other in many languages, and in some of them, A is for B. Anu in Igbo, art in Turkish, amu in Ojibwe, abella in Portuguese. B is for monkey. Bojog in Balinese, Bezione in Lithuanian, Biri in Hausa, Bandad in Hindi. C is for parrot. Chiluka in Telugu, Chinkwe in Chichewa, Kochol in Nawa. D is for turtle. Daxi in Cherokee, Deckelsmoke in Luxembourg, and I'm probably totally mispronouncing these. I'll have to like actually go and like learn how to pronounce, but I'm trying my best. Tortoka in Basque, Jata in Thai. E is for snail. Etmewig in Chechen, Escargot in French, Etana in Finnish, Elagua in Cherokee. F is for butterfly, Farasha in Arabic, Farfalla in Italian, Felic, 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 I can't say this, Felican in Irish, Flutur in Albanian. G is for cat, Gato in Spanish, Gasoshans in Ojibwe, Goyanji in Korean. Please be kind. I know I'm probably not pronouncing these things right, but I will learn. But I'm super excited to learn. That's the cool thing about this book. H is for tiger, Huli in Canada, Harimau in Indonesian. I is for fish, in Inlansi in Zulu, Ikan in Malay, Ikaluk in Alutik, Iwak in Javanese, isda in Tagalog. J is for ostrich, Jaylam in Armenian, Janalind in Estonian, Jiminia in Hausa. K is for giraffe, Kakairoa in Maori, Kirafi in Finnish, Kelkirjak in Estonian, Camilopardali in Greek. L is for rabbit, Lapaki in Hawaiian, Lepaki in Hawaiian, Lapin in French, Lepur in Albanian. I'm going to leave it at that because it's going to keep going, and I don't know that you're enjoying this as much as I am. But it's super cute. The drawings, the illustrations are beautiful. And I cannot wait to actually learn the pronunciation and then teach my nephew how to say all these different words in other languages. And I think I'm going to have a lot of fun with a couple of kiddos in the near future. And let's face it, these children's books, even if they don't come to visit, I think I just have so much fun with children's literature. So my friend, one of my local bookish friends, gave me a children's book from this same collection last year, and so this is the second book or another book in that series or that collection. Dear Acorn, Love Oak, Letter Poems to Friends, written by Joyce Sidman, illustrated by Melissa Sweet. And later, I have the book right there, I can see it. Later I'll have to show them to you side by side, but the illustrations are they match. It's so cool to have the next or another companion book to it. And this was published by Clarion Books, and the inside flap says, Dear Sky, hello, it's me, Bubble. I'm here. Someone breathed me awake. What is it like to be little? What is it like to be big? Award-winning poet Joyce Sidman explores both in this lyrical picture book, whether it's a small bubble riding to the enormous sky or a mighty oak reassuring its tiny acorn. These surprising and delightful poems examine how we're all connected in both big and small ways, brilliantly illustrated by Caldecott honor-winning artist Melissa Sweet. Dear Acorn, Love Oak will have readers dreaming up messages of their own to this big, beautiful world. Joyce Sidman is today's foremost nature poet writing for children. Her books have won a Newbery Honors, a Sybert Medal, 2 Caldecott Honors, and Bank Street Claudia Lewis Award for her body of work. She was presented with the NCTE Award for Excellence in Poetry for Children. She lives in Wayzata, Minnesota, where she loves writing poetry with students and walking in the woods. Her favorite little thing is a snowflake, and her favorite big thing is a whale. Visit her online at joycesidman.com. Melissa Sweet is a celebrated author and illustrator. She has illustrated many award-winning books, from board books to nonfiction, and is a 3-time recipient of the New York Times Best Illustrated Children's Book, as well as 2 Caldecott honors. She lives in Portland, Maine, and is a Maine master naturalist. Her favorite little thing is a hummingbird, and her favorite big thing is the night sky. Visit her at melissasweet.net. It's so beautiful. Ugh, I have the chills just imagining. So what is your favorite little thing, and what is your favorite big thing? I think my favorite little thing at the moment are chapulines, like crickets. I think they're my favorite little thing at the moment. My favorite big thing at the moment is the ocean. I was so fascinated with those waves crashing at me. As I was in, and I was just thinking, oh my God, the sea, the ocean is so huge and amazing. And the power of like, they just slid to the floor. The power of like the waves just crashing and the noise, like the sound that they make. And it's just so poetic and profound. And lastly, my last purchase, I it is all middle grade and children's, and this is YA, is I, Medusa novel by Ayana Gray and Saba Tahir. She's also a white author. She blurbed this as I, Medusa grips you from the first page. And that alone made me want to pick it up because I was like, okay, I want to be gripped from the first page. Deftly exploring sisterhood, friendship, and the rage felt by unfairly maligned women all the way back to antiquity. This sounds so amazing. Like the edging, the sprayed edges or sprayed edges. This is the story of Medusa. It's like a retelling, a Greek mythological retelling, which I love. Ayana Gray is a New York Times bestselling author of Beasts of Prey. Her works have been translated into 11 languages. I, Medusa is her adult debut. Okay, so I thought this was why, this is her adult debut, but I recognize her as a YA author, and I'm really excited. I thought this was YA, but cool. I'm looking forward to this Greek retelling. And that's it for a book haul. The recipe that I have to share is vegan ceviche. I've already talked about it. It was delicious. I hope if you try it, I hope you enjoy it. Let me know what you think of it if you cook it. And let me know if you have any questions. Is there anything that I missed today? I know it was kind of a different week in review. Hopefully by next week I'll have read more books, maybe have some more to talk about, and some books that I've finished. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. Hasta la próxima.